A prison guard, all right, helps white supremacists attack inmates. I kid you not. Let's put up a picture of the county detention center. Let's put that up, all right? A federal jury in Oklahoma found a former corrections officer guilty on Friday of facilitating white supremacist attacks on incarcerated black people. You hear me? Matthew Ware, a former corrections officer supervisor at the Kay County Detention Center, violated the civil rights of 3 pretrial detainees. In 2017, Ware commanded lower ranking officers to move 2 black detainees to a cell that housed white supremacist inmates. The release stated, these inmates posed a danger to the detainees, D'Angelo Wilson and Marcus Miller. Remember, he did this intentionally. Later that day, Officer Ware ordered the other officers to unlock the doors to both the jail cells and the detainees and of the white supremacist inmates. When Ware's orders were followed, the white supremacist inmates attacked Wilson and Miller, the black males, resulting in physical injury to both, including a facial laceration to Wilson that required 7 stitches to close, according to the release. In 2018, Officer Ware directed lower ranking officer to restrain Christopher Davis, another pretrial detainee. This was routine for this corrections officer. Davis was placed in a stretched out position in which his left wrist was restrained to the far left side of the bench and his right to the far right side, the release said. Davis remained in that position for 90 minutes and sustained physical injuries as a result. The restraining act is believed to have been a retaliation for Davis criticizing the way corrections officer Ware ran the center. Ware will be sentenced in July. He faces a maximum of 10 years in prison, a fine up to $250,000 for each violation, and 3 years of supervised release. Now, we couldn't find a picture, and believe me, we searched, my production team searched. We were trying to find a picture that we could verify of Officer Ware. We could not find one. They're trying to hide this guy. But we found a picture of the director at the jail. Here it is. That's the picture, okay? See that guy, right? The director of the detention center is Don Jones. There is ample evidence that Mr. Jones knew about the inmate abuse. Back in 2019, Stephanie Wright, let's put up her picture. A former Kay County Detention Center employee sued the jail, and a former boss is in federal court alleging she was fired for reporting sexual harassment and blowing the whistle on inmate abuse, including an incident where an inmate was allegedly cuffed in a crucifixion type position. This has been going on for years. What do we have here? We have a cop who has been convicted, a corrections officer who has been convicted of helping white supremacist gangs beat up black incarcerated bodies, human beings. What does that mean by extension and by logic? That means the corrections officer is a white supremacist or subscribes to the ideology. What else does this mean based on the information we have, the factual basis here? The officers who carried out these illegal orders are part of that culture too. See, this is systemic. Now, I have a question. Why is it that only this one person is going to prison? He can't operate inside of a private prison without having a cohort, a culture that allows it. He has a boss. He also has people that work alongside him, and he has individuals that he supervises. All 3 layers of that bureaucracy inside of that private prison that private jail allowed this to happen without any challenge. And the story that we have that has been documented by the court is that others carried out his dirty deeds. Why are they not going to prison right now, just like him? Until we start attacking the culture of a thing, this system, corrupt systems, will always sacrifice their most problematic person. They will throw them under the bus for the sake of saving the corruption and their own culture. They don't want you to actually unravel the rest of the story. They want you to fixate on the one person who has been caught to such a degree that there is no way to save them. But remember, we have it on record. Others were involved, and there's ample evidence that the guy in charge is truly the kingpin. He's the guy who they should go after. Where's the RICO Act? Adrienne, I know how these things work typically with people that are in charge and they're not really getting their hands dirty, so to speak. That's why the RICO Act was created, in order to still find these individuals guilty by way of connection and orders, mandates of other people. Why do we not see the RICO Act applied in cases like this, where there's obvious connection from the leader to the workers and illegal activity being carried out?
Well, we have to bear in mind that the system was founded on white male supremacy, and by virtue of the thought that if we actually pursued these charges, it'd mean a lot of white males would go down for engaging in behavior that advanced white supremacy. And so that implicit bias and that implicit desire to continue to reinforce the systems that are drivers in society, that is what's at play here. And we're not going to see any semblance of justice ever if we continue to allow people to engage in this behavior, because they're going to keep engaging in it. Simply cutting off a branch is not going to change anything when that branch is going to grow back, if not spawn new branches. It's just, it's a system that is completely and totally broken, and removing one person is not going to change anything. I'll also mention the thought that this woman spoke up about the sexual harassment she experienced. That's something I will always say. Racism and sexism run hand in hand. They are ride or dies. Where there is one, there is the other. So the fact that this woman had come forward about that, also it tells me that this is exactly the kind of system, the type of work environment. It's just that systems of oppression are everywhere, and they are fully activated and in full effect.
You gave me such a great direction for an example I just thought of. You're right. Basically, what they're doing is they're ripping off a branch. A branch is going to grow back rather than uprooting the tree.
Yeah.
The tree has a complex root system. The tree is strong and it is established. You have to unroot the tree in order to get rid of the corruption. And we see the unwillingness of actual leaders to tackle these big, overwhelming projects inside of institutions that are corrupt to the core. It's easy to get rid of a branch. It is hard to uproot a tree, but we're going to continue to push for that hard work.